Prerecorded. I first caught on to him when he was playing with Gretchen Parlato. And, there's a lot of really bad cats out there who have come over, from Israel and started to play in the US. So let's talk about, is there a jazz scene in Israel as well that we might be interested in hearing about? I'll let either one of you or both of you talk about that.
Itai, you go ahead first.
I've been gone for longer, but there definitely is a scene, but it's not as big as the number of musicians here suggests. I think that what we have more than anything is an education scene, really. And that's because so many Israelis have had the privilege of coming to the US, and specifically New York. But I mean, because, it's the Mecca of jazz. Yeah. But also many Israeli musicians have gone to study at Berkeley College in Boston and New England. And then after a while, gone back to Israel and started teaching. And so we have this cycle of people who are already musicians coming to the US, learning, studying, working with some of the best musicians, in the world, and then eventually coming back and imparting that knowledge and that experience to the next generation. So we're really blessed because I guess it has to do with the visas and, the political situation. Of course, that Israel gets support from the US, and it's relatively easy for Israelis to travel to the US, unlike some other countries. And so we have this exchange that keeps giving.
I think I'm going to add to that. I completely agree with that. And I'm one of those guys that I was in New York for about 10 years. Then I moved back to Israel, and I was teaching in high school and private lessons, and also in the university. I just got to say that I want to add to that, basically the level of jazz education that we have in Israel in the high school is pretty much the level of most countries have in university. Like, the kids are really getting it in very young age. So you see, like, I just checked, like, this guy friended me on Facebook, and I'm like, this dude looked like a baby, and and I see, like, he's playing with people that they are my age, my friends, and I know these guys, they're not going to play with somebody who can't play. So I went and checked some videos, and this guy is in high school. He's like probably in 11th grade, and he plays so good. He's like amazing guitar player, 17 years old. And that's all got to do with that education. And that brings up the level very much. And the fact that the teachers didn't need, at least in my case, and I know in a few people cases, the teacher was hired according to their musical abilities and history and what they did, and not according to their high education in universities. So you could have, like, some teachers that could really play and didn't graduated from high school, like me, for example, and other people.
I was about to say, may I add that one of those people that inspired another generation of young musicians in Israel is, of course, Amos, coming back from spending years in New York. And when I say education, it's not only formal education where you go to school and there's a teacher and stuff, but for me, for instance, Amos invited me to sit in on his gigs, on any gig basically, like, come sit in with a band and hang with the cats. And for me, that was the best education, and when you play with people who just came back from New York, or people who spent a lot of time in New York, you get that feeling, that excitement that New York cats, bring to the stage because of the intensity. And, after you've been in the New York music scene, you really know that there is an edge, not to say that it's better than anywhere else, but it has a certain vibe to it that you catch when you play with these guys. with these musicians who've been there and experienced that. And so that's also a big part of the education.
Oh yeah, because I'm imagining when you get on that stage in New York, man, you got to bring your A game. You know, if not, you know, you'll
exactly.
Those cats will play you right off the stand, man.
That's where it comes from. That's where it comes from. You can't, you know, if you don't bring it, you're gonna embarrass yourself on stage, and you know nobody wants that.
Yeah, happened to me many times.
I can't believe it happened to you. You got played off the stand, man. I can't believe that, man. Hard to believe.
Well, it did happen. I mean, when you live in New York, it's got to happen to you. That's for me, like, that was the reason I got to New York. I wanted to get my behind kicked, you know, by better, more experienced, stronger musicians. And when you are there and you are in that moment, it feels really bad if somebody is gonna you like I can say, like, one time I played the jam session, the late hours, right? We start playing at 1 o'clock.
Yep.
And George Coleman came and sit in.
Oh man.
And man, he called rhythm changes in all keys, going up chromatically, and he took it in the fastest tempo you can think about. And I was already, like, you know, one of the cats. Everybody thought I'm, you know, hey Amos, you want to sit in? You know, like, you're one of the group. And I just, like, sounded so bad. You know, of course, nobody said nothing, you know, and I felt awful. But what happened for me the next morning? We got up and I practiced, because, you know what I'm saying? Like, you always need to get a little kick in your behind to, like, don't fall asleep on it. There's always going to be somebody who can cut you. That's why New York cuts are always sounding more edgy, because there's always someone. If he's not there, he's just moving to town. Like, if not today, tomorrow, he's moving to take your gig. He's moving to sound better than you.
There's always a shark out there waiting.
Yep.
All right, so let me ask. I had to get back to the topic of sharks, you know, since that's where we started. And let's talk about Baby Sharks. You know, that's at least the name of the popular song. But can you, either one of you, since you're familiar with your homeland's music scene, are there any Baby Sharks that you can call by name that we need to watch out for coming up on the Israeli jazz scene that we need to keep an ear for?
Yes, for sure. I mean, I don't know if they're coming to New York. I don't know, but there's so many, like, young coming up musicians that they sound so good. I mean, I cannot say that I know the plans of people, if they're planning what they're planning to do, to move to Europe or to stay in Israel or to move to Boston or I don't know what. But I was just there, like, just before this Corona situation started, and I was amazed, like, by so many young musicians and all really good players.
Can you think of any names that you can share with us?
Yep, Nitzan Bar.
Nitzan Bar. Yes, I was going to that same name, actually.
He's a great guitar player, and he played drums too. He can really play drums.
Okay.
And his brother Tomer Bar is also
really good piano player. Yeah.
Okay, those are two names to watch out for. We're looking at a picture here. I'm not sure exactly what that's from, if that was just something that we were looking at in general of some young people playing, or if it was something specific, but it was fairly interesting to see. So,
well, I will share.
Okay, please.
That was the Thelma Yellen school, who I believe Itai you attended from in Israel.
Oh.
Those students from the Thelma Yellen school came down to Charlotte, and we did a partnership between our Jazz Academy and some of those brilliant students from Thelma Yellen, and it was a beautiful collaboration at our Jewish Community Center here in Charlotte. That was back in 2013. So those were, it was an amazing experience, and one that our students will never forget. But it was great, and I engage and see the Thelma Yellen students each year at the Jazz Education Network conference, wherever it may be. So just wanted to share some of those images because I know, Itai, you attended Thelma Yellen, and I believe you taught at the Thelma Yellen School, Amos. Am I
Yeah,
correct?
I taught there for many years. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
And so
So,
I recognize some of those kids in that picture. One of them is Tom Oren. He's a great piano player.
Tom Moran,
yes.
I was
Yeah.
about to add his name to your to the list of kids to look out for.
I just played with him a gig in Israel.
Was it him?
Yeah.
Yes.
He's, and the thing, a lot of those kids, they have really good attitude. That's for me, like, even more important than everything. Like, some, of course, I'm not saying everybody, because every group got different kind of people, but a lot of those kids got really respectful and nice attitude towards music and towards musicians, and they understand that, like, this music is carried, just like when I came to New York and I wanted to play with people that were older than me and that did it for many years and did it, people who've been friends with you know, Charlie Parker, and carried it on, you know, carried that spirit. So I respected those people, and I still am. That's like my heroes. And I feel a lot of those young people got that vibe in them.
Speaking of Thelma Yellen and heroes, one of the great things that happened to me when I went to Thelma Yellen was that the second year I was there, we got a new teacher who started teaching. He came from New York. His name is Walter Blanding. I don't know if you know Walter Blanding from Jazz Center, many years into Marsalis Orchestra and quintet, and, you know, amazing musician, amazing saxophone player and composer and everything, band leader. And he had moved to Israel he had married an Israeli lady, and they had two beautiful daughters who are now grown. And so for us to have somebody from Jazz at Lincoln Center just land in our laps and, you know, and bring all of his knowledge and also that New York energy to us was, you know, indispensable. It's amazing. And that really helped me. It was really inspiring for us because apart from being a great musician, he's also a great cat and just a, you know, a beautiful person. And he shared so much with us, and he opened up to us kids, and, you know, he gave a lot. And, you know, I'll always be grateful for that.
Well, that is great. I didn't know. I know Blanding. I know his work well. I had no idea that he had spent some time in Israel. And that is, I'm sorry, go ahead.
A few years. It was like 3 or 4 years, something like that.
Yeah, that's amazing. And that, I know he also is very giving with his time and musically. So that I'm sure was great for all of you as students. Amos, when you first came to New York, was there anyone that you can think of, a name specifically or names, who took you under their wing on the New York scene?
Well, I wasn't really under nobody's wing, but I was like, I was playing a lot with a drummer by the name of Dennis Charles.
Yep.
He passed away in '98. And I loved him. He was like my very good friend, you know. And a lot of many others. I mean, but Dennis was really close. We were like really close friends. Not only in the music, we were like just hanging out together sometimes for days, you know.
Yeah, that's great to hear. So I'm gonna ask you both about each other's playing. You know, now I know the two of you have worked together on a number of things. As a matter of fact, Lonnie, do we have? I believe we might have had a video clip of or something that we could show with, I believe, Itai Kriss on the flute and Amos Hoffman on the oud. Do we have that available, Lonnie, at this point? If not, I'll just keep talking. So. don't know if it's.
I can't hear nothing.
I can't either. So, okay, we'll come out. If we don't get the sound back, that was a clip. It looks like, at least from the way it is listed there, that was a clip from Televana, or one of the sessions for Televana, which is one of Mr. Kriss's fine new albums of the last couple of years. We had Televana there, which came out in 2018. He's got another new one coming out that's going to be, and I'm going to even see, I don't know if Lonnie has a clip that she can bring up, but if not, I definitely, I'm going to make one available from a new album that Mr. Kriss has coming out called Supermoon. And that is an album with, you remember I mentioned Shai Maestro, a fine keyboardist, also from Israel a little bit earlier. He's on the album. Kaisel Jimenez is on vocals, and some other very fine musicians. And the thing that caught me about the album from the opening track, and it seems like it's all something along the lines of the Zodiac, Aries, and there was Aries Mix and a couple of others, but I was just drawn in by the Latin feel of the album. I joked with Itai when he first came on to the feed tonight. I was asking him, "Are you sure you're not Cuban?" Because it has an amazing Latin feel to it, and we'll get to a couple of tracks from that as well. Also, I do want to mention that, and I'll let Amos talk about his upcoming project in a minute. His latest his last two albums have ended up on my best of list at the end of the year. Back to the City, which was one I know that was recorded when he returned to New York City with some fine New York cats, and also one that came out just 2 years ago in 2018 with Noam Lemish, who is a very fine Canadian musician, and Amos, and they collaborated on an album called Pardes. I hope I'm getting close to the pronunciation of it. Amos, can you tell us a little bit about Pardes and your collaboration with Mr. Lemish, and I believe upcoming collaborations you have with him?
Yeah, Noam is actually an Israeli musician that lives in Canada for many years. And he's a piano player, and yeah, it's a long story how we met. I'm not going to get to that, but we decided to do an album of all the music is coming from different parts of the Jewish world. Mm-hmm. So we'll have like one song is from Yemen, one song is from North Africa, from Morocco, one tune could be from the Azeri mountains, etc. And we arranged them into like a jazzy kind of arrangements. And this was for me a really good collaboration. So after that, we decided to get another one, and yeah, we actually just recorded it, like this winter, mm-hmm. January or February, I don't remember. And it's a bigger band. We have a cello, clarinet, of course, bass, guitar, oud, piano, drums, percussion, and some tunes are very much arranged, almost like classical pieces. I wrote 2 classical pieces, like classical Arabian, the classic Arabian music, but I arranged it for this band. And yeah, I'm very happy from it. So I'm looking forward for that to come out.
Okay. Do we have any estimate on when we might hear it, just so I can keep people waiting, or keep them ready for it?
No, I cannot tell you. Not that I don't want to tell you, I just cannot. We didn't decide yet. We have it. It's right now in the process of getting mixed and mastered, but maybe we want to wait till we'll be able to tour with it a little bit, because, yeah.
Yeah.
And I recorded another album just recently with Eric McPherson, and which is actually is playing on that album, The Shark by Itai.
Yes.
Yeah, and organ player from here that you know him, Jonathan Lovett.
Yeah.
We recorded a trio album, which I'm also waiting for the right moment to release. So I told you before, you'll be the first to know. Maybe the second. My wife probably will know before you. But
well, no, your wife goes first, brother. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Always on that, man. But yeah, anything with you and Love It, and Eric, that sounds good. Because I tell you, when you and Love It and Osi got together on that on that Kenny Burrell night there in the jazz room, man, that was killer. I still go back to those videos. I wish I had queued up some of the ones that I just took from the side of the stage that night.
That was so much fun. Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, y'all burned the place down, Tim.
Yeah.
Wait, but we seem to, at least I've lost the tie out of my feed here.
I'm
You
back.
there, brother?
I'm back. I got disconnected, but I found my way back. Can you hear me?
Okay. I can hear you fine.
I guess you were talking about Tel Havana and I missed it. I'm so sorry.
Well, let's see if we can go back on Tel Havana, because I think Lonnie said we might be able to take another shot at that little clip. And then we'll come out, after that, we'll come out and we'll talk about Tel Havana and Supermoon. I want to talk about both of them with you, man.
Yes.
There we go. Wow, very nice.
All right.
Very nice. Sagittarius, I see, is the name of the clip from Tel Havana. So, Itai, tell us a little bit about that clip. Tell us a little bit about that project. I know that's your latest project that actually is out and available, but we're also going to talk about Supermoon that's coming up. So tell us a little bit about that clip and about the album, how that all came together.
So Tel Havana is like, is really kind of like me. It's my band. It's an expression of all of my experiences, because it's like Tel Aviv meets Havana. Therefore, Tel Havana. That's what it is, because, you know, I'm from Tel Aviv, but my heart is in Havana. Just because I love Cuban music. And I mean, Havana is just an example of, you know, it's basically Caribbean, Afro-Caribbean diaspora music.
Yeah.
That really grabbed me so much. And so Tel Havana is like my, is me trying to bring those two worlds together, the Caribbean and the Middle East. And it's a little bit more than that. It's about just connecting cultures in general, like connecting things that you feel strongly about, that you feel that you love, and bringing them together in a creative way. And so in Tel Havana, we have musicians who are Israeli, we have Cubans, Puerto Ricans, Americans. We've had a lot of people participate in different ways. And of course, you saw that we also have a belly dancer.
Never noticed it, didn't see it. Didn't see a thing.
She's Iranian, actually, originally from Iran, and she lives in New York. And so it's also my first time collaborating with a dancer and adding this facet of movement to the musical show. And she was perfect for this because she also she's a classically trained belly dancer. She she does all of the traditional stuff, but she also loves Cuban dance, timba, salsa, and all of that. And so she's an embodiment of the Tel Havana spirit, if you will. And so it's great to work with her. And we did a couple of clips. I'm gonna leave some links in the chat in a minute. So
awesome.
Whoever wants to watch some more videos and see a little bit more examples of this combination of East and West can check it out. And so Tel Havana, so Sagittarius, that song that we heard is part of the next album by Tel Havana, which is called Supermoon. And it really is a celebration of all of the zodiac signs. So we have 12 tunes, one for each sign, and then one extra one called The Cusp, for all the cusp babies who don't necessarily fall on, one determined sign.
All right. Yeah, because
before I forget, if you want to check out the belly dancer, her name is Elena Nairi. I'm gonna write it in the chat just so anybody who wants to check out. She has a lot of different stuff. She works with a lot of different repertoire, and really,
I can't understand why anyone would be interested in seeing anything that she had to do. I can't understand.
I'm sure we're gonna have some enthusiastic fans after this.
Maybe there might be a couple, but
I feel like you might be one of them. I don't know why.
But I just have to say, you really, because my first thought upon hearing that piece, I was thinking it was a combination. I heard the sounds of the Middle East. I heard the sounds of Israel. I also heard Cuba in that. And before you even mentioned that, that's where the album title and the concept came from, I was going to say that you did successfully nail that, because I did see that. I did feel that. So now Tel Havana, the first album, is the one that came out in 2018. That is currently available, correct?
Yes, it is. Yes, and I encourage everybody to get your copy on Bandcamp.
Bandcamp, okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's on Spotify and on iTunes.
I say about Spotify, I always say Spotify is nice to originally listen, but especially now, I always encourage, and people hear me saying this, don't just dig it, buy it. Okay, if you like it, buy it. Go out and buy the music of Itai Kriss. Go out and buy the music of Amos Hoffman. To find working musicians. I mean, and this is me preaching again as always, yeah. We go out and we'll buy the albums of Miles, of Coltrane, and all those people who are the masters, but they aren't here to hear your applause. When you go out, ladies and gentlemen, and you buy the albums of these great musicians, not only do you have great music, but you are also allowing them to continue in their artistry. So they need your support right now. So if you hear something, use Spotify just for a quick listen, then go and buy what you love. And that's what I tell everybody to do. Please do that. Let's talk a little bit about Supermoon and the album. I know that the track we just heard, Sagittarius, came from that. And when is that going to be available? I'm going to be premiering some tracks on Kurt Jazz Radio as of tonight. But let's talk about for everybody else. When might they be able to purchase that?
Well, it was on track to be released in July, but since this whole coronavirus crisis happened, and so I decided to take a little break and see where this is going. But you know how an album release is usually, it's a great opportunity to book a tour and, connect it to other events to generate interest in the album, and of course, and use the momentum of it. So I was hoping that this would be over quickly and I would be able to do that. But it looks like I think I'm just going to release it fairly soon, within the next few months, because I want the music as it needs to be out. And and I see other artists, a lot of artists now are releasing albums. They're not stopping, which I applaud them.
Yeah, there's something, like you think like, maybe I should wait with it, and then a lot of people are going to be out and I'll be able to tour, etc. But then you think there's always the other side of the logic that says like, now people at home, they want to listen to some good stuff. You can release it, you can get it online or deliver to your doorstep or whatever. So maybe now is the good time. It's like nobody knows. This is like such a weird time that nobody knows like what's the right thing to do, if there's any time or like the right thing to do about it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, let's face it. This is something new, as you're saying, something new for all of us, man. None of us have ever been, in this kind of situation before. So this is something kind of new that we're working through. Let me just ask if I could. We've heard a little bit of the two of you playing on that last track, at least on video. Do either one of you have anything that you'd like to share with us live, something this evening? Either Amos or Itai? Are you, do you feel, is the mood striking you? Is there anything you'd like to play or share? Because we'd love to hear if you do have something.
Yeah, sure.
All right, man. Well, I'll take whoever would like to go. Unfortunately, I'd love to have the two of you playing together, but we're not technically able to pull that off. So I see Mr. Hoffman has his axe here. It is out and it is ready, and he is dangerous when he straps that thing on. So I'll turn it over to my Israeli brother Amos Hoffman. Well,
actually,
go ahead.
Yeah.
We're gonna do something together and apart, in keeping with this whole period's vibe and theme. We're gonna do a tribute to the great Thelonious Monk.
Cool.
We're gonna trade it off a little bit.
All right, go ahead, guys. It's all yours. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, that was fun.
Oh, yeah. It was fun listening to you guys as well. So straight no chaser. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I miss playing with you, Amos.
Same here. It feels so weird, you know, being so far away and playing like this with this little delay. I mean, well, it is what it is.
I heard, but I was feeling it.
Yeah, same here, man.
Oh yeah, the vibe between the two of y'all, even even with the delay was insignificant. It still, just to hear y'all trading eights like that and everything on a little monk, that was great to hear. And as you can tell from my shirt, I'm a little bit of a fan of Monk myself. So so I appreciated it. So we're getting near the end, man. This hour has flown. Let me make sure. Let me get to a few questions from the audience. Lonnie, do we have any questions for Amos or for Itai or for both of them that our fine audience members have asked?
Yes, we do. We have one from Joseph, and he asks, well, he says that the Village Vanguard is now doing weekend audience-less shows, and he wanted to know if Amos or Itai have been performing at all and staying fresh over the last couple months.
Well, I'll start. I'm performing, but I'm in South Carolina. So right here, pretty much stuff are a little bit more open than before, and I have a little bit not as usual, and definitely all the traveling that canceled, but definitely not the Village Vanguard. Yeah, not me. Unfortunately, I would love to do it, but. Maybe, yeah.
Actually, I have a show coming up, not at the Village Vanguard, but at Smalls.
Yeah.
And Smalls has this thing. It's a venture called Get the Cats Working Again. That's Mike Wilner, the owner and manager of Smalls.
Good man, yeah.
Yes. And so he has one band a night play at Smalls. The club is empty, but they have live streaming. So people from around the world tune in and watch the show every night. And I definitely recommend for everybody to go. The thing is, it's the subscription. $10 gets you a subscription for the whole year.
I'm doing that too. I'm checking some stuff out also from that since they opened up.
Have an amazing. First of all, great bands are playing every night, and then those same $10 also get you access to the archive, so you can see everything that's ever been played at Smalls since they started that archive. And so, if you look at the chat, I put a link to the Tel Havana show. Tel Havana has a show there on July 11th at Smalls. It's gonna be my first gig at a jazz club since March. Since early March,
Now, what was the date on that again, Itai? I just want to make sure.
Yeah, July 11th.
July 11th, okay.
And it's the last thing in the chat for everybody. If you want to check it out, it's there. Yes, I'm really excited. Amos, if you come to New York, you'll be in the show, okay?
I wish, man, but...
Definitely invited.
July 11th?
July 11th.
I don't know. It's like, I feel the urge, man.
Well,
I might just buy a ticket and come.
The invitation is open.
Honestly, I'll say, can I sit in on a couple of them?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
We'll talk about it, but I'm not saying no.
Okay.
All right.
I really feel like playing, man.
We may have started something here. Lonnie, I saw a question that just dropped into the chat there from a gentleman who may be familiar to a few of us around here. Did you see that one, Lonnie?
Did. Did you?
Yes.
Yep. OC asks to both of you, how have American jazz musicians influenced you and the musicians in Israel?
Oh, wow. It's more than influence. I mean, American jazz musicians it's like that's the basis of, that's what we grew up on, of course. So we definitely, I mean, personally, I idolize and look up to many American jazz musicians. Too many to mention. Amos, what would you answer?
Yeah, I mean, all my heroes are the great American jazz musicians, and that's basically not to contradict what you said before, Kurt, about buying new albums and supporting new artists, which I always do, and I super respect because I'm one of them. But if somebody want to buy a John Coltrane album before he buys my album, I completely understand it. You know what I'm saying? Like, not please buy my albums, but you know, if I'm finding myself buying an album, there's another Monk album that I don't have. So like, it's not influenced my life. That's my life. You know, that's what I do. That's who I am. I am coming from that root. You know, like the Louis Armstrong, the Lester Young, the Charlie Parker, the Thelonious Monk, the Dizzy Gillespie, etc. Like Itai said, I'm not going to mention all the names, the Wes Montgomery, and then I believe I'm coming from that root. And if somebody don't agree with that, that's okay. But that's what I feel. You know what I'm saying? It's not. I don't think it's you need to be American to belong to that tribe. I'm a member of that tribe. You know, that's my people. Yeah. I feel like related to some of those people spiritually. I know them through the music more than I know people that I know. You know what I'm saying? Like I can tell you I know Thelonious Monk. There's some stuff about Thelonious Monk I know because I spent a year just listening to only Thelonious Monk all day long. That's all I did for a year. I didn't practice. I just listened to Thelonious Monk 10 hours a day. So there's a lot. So yeah. So yes, Ossie.
Yeah. And also on a more personal note, I mean, of course, the jazz greats, you know, we just were so thirsty to hear everything that they made and, you know, and to enjoy their music. But personally, you remember that I said that Walter Blanding came to teach in my high school, which was surprising. But not only did he come, but he also started a partnership with the local jazz club. And he brought a lot of musicians, his friends basically, from New York, from Lincoln Center to play. So people like Marcus Printup, the trumpeter, Wycliffe Gordon, the bonus, and Abraham Burton.
Yeah, saxophones, yes.
I was supposed to play with Abraham on April in Smalls. I had a gig in April that's supposed to. I was looking for that gig for 3 months before. I was looking. I wrote music for that, and like when it came down, I was like devastated, man. I really wanted to do that.
Yeah.
It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen.
Yeah, maybe.
It's gonna happen. Let's just all, you know, just think positive and keep our fingers crossed and everything. Looking toward getting out of this. I know, Lonnie, we're near the end of our time. Do we have one more question maybe that we can take? I don't want to impose upon the gentleman. Yes, we do.
We have a question from Rebecca. And Rebecca is asking, for all of those who are new to Israeli jazz, how would you differentiate between what elements are considered traditional Israeli music versus what elements of the music is considered, I guess, traditional American jazz? How do you differentiate the different elements within the Israeli jazz music itself?
Well, that's a really hard question, especially for the last one. That could be like a 2-hour conversation by itself. But I rather look at it on the personal level, and what I'm going to say is from the personal level, that every musician from the Israeli jazz, Israeli jazz scene or whatever, those that I like, they definitely can play jazz. They can play jazz, not like Israeli jazz. They can sit and hang in a jazz situation. And then if they can do that, Whatever they bring into the mix is their own right. That's okay. That's all right. But if they can't do that, for some reason, I'm always drawn away from that because it's like, hey, you cannot play blues. You cannot play a set of just jazz tune in a reception, and now you come with all this original stuff that is like super difficult and like really complicated, but you cannot play all the things you are. So that's like, but I cannot really put my fingers on what is it. I mean, if it was like an hour conversation, maybe I can get into it, but not in like 2 minutes.
Well, I think maybe I can help a little bit because we have in music we have rhythm, we have harmony, and we have melody, and so there are a few things, elements, like scales, for instance, that are Middle Eastern, that are used a lot in Middle Eastern music, and then other things like rhythms that are common in Middle Eastern music that are definitely not common in American music or in jazz. So, so the fun for a lot of us Israeli jazz musicians is taking these rhythms and melodies, harmonies that sound very familiar to us because we grew up with them, which is kind of like not necessarily traditional music, but it's the music of the familiar music. And then combining that with the spirit of improvisation and the spirit of innovation that jazz always has, because jazz is all about, it's never about doing the same thing twice. It's always about having a groove or having something and then expressing yourself over it. So bringing that free expression and coupling it with the elements of traditional rhythms and familiar melodies, that for me is part of the fun of making kind of Middle Eastern jazz, if you will, because
also I got
familiar with the creative and the kind of challenging.
I gotta say, when I was in New York, I was playing oud only at home for a long time, and then like at some point, I don't know if you're familiar with this musician Jay Collins.
Yeah.
So he came up with he came to my house to rehearse, and he was like, "What is that?" And I was like, "That's an oud." Like, can I hear it? And he made me bring it out and start doing it, and nobody heard it. Everybody was like, "What is this?" You know? So there's actually an album we recorded. Kurt, I don't know if you can get it. You can actually get it probably on YouTube. It's an interesting album. It's called Cross Culture, Jay Collins.
Okay, cross culture.
Yeah.
I'm pretty good at finding most stuff, brother. So, I'll find it. All right.
Yeah.
Cross culture from Jay Collins. That is cool, man. So let me, couple of things I want to make sure before we let the two of you go. First of all, your websites, because I know that that's always a good place to go to find additional information, what is coming up, and everything, so people can keep up on what's going on. And we're also going, yes, from Itai, he has just put his into the chat. That is Itai, ITAIKRISS, ItaiKriss.com. Great place to find. For Amos, it is AmosHoffman.com, correct?
Correct.
Okay, AmosHoffman.com, where you can find out. Also, don't forget these gentlemen's albums that are out now. Amos has a fantastic catalog, but I'm just going to at least go to the two most recent mention again. Pardes, that was with Noam Lemish that we talked about earlier, a fine album where we again get that mix of jazz and the Israeli traditions come together beautifully there. And also Back to the City, which was recorded in New York with some fine New York musicians as well. Both of those are available. I know you can find them, both of those, on iTunes, Amazon, places like that. Also for Itai's album, Bandcamp, he has mentioned, is the best place to go for those. Now, man, I hate to bring this to a close, but I'm just going to have to move toward it at this time. But I want to say, first of all, thank you to my two brothers now. My older brother, well, not older than me, nobody's older than me, but the oldest of my two brothers, and that is Amos Hoffman. Thank you always, brother. Good to see you. And
thank you, Kurt.
Itai Kriss, I have just enjoyed getting to know you, man, and to know more about your music, and I just look forward to, you know, continuing relationship with you in the future, man. You're an amazing, amazing young man, an amazing musician, and well, both of you are. And so I just really have enjoyed the time with you. Before I turn things back over to Lonnie, I did promise to tell you about a few things that are coming up. We want to let you know about something very special we have coming up in the same space next week. That is next week. That is the July 7th at 6 p.m. We're going to have Jazz Movie Night, a Netflix party. You'll need to find out how to do that to register online and be a part of that, but you'll be able to watch if you have Netflix. And then after that, we'll have a conversation. The movie, of course, is the award-winning I Called Him Morgan, about the great Lee Morgan and the situation around his life and his unfortunate demise. We'll have as a very special guest afterwards, Larry Rennie Thomas, who is a DJ on the east end of North Carolina, out in Wilmington. But more importantly, he is the man who had the interview with Helen Morgan that this film is based on. So Larry Rennie Thomas is going to join us for our chat live afterwards. So be with us for the movie. The chat will start at 8 o'clock, around right after we finish with that. Then coming up also in the Live from Crown, our live series, Lavelle Bradford and his group will be with us on July 9th. Then back here in Conversations with Curtis on July 16th, we will have the award-winning jazz journalist, noted as one of the best jazz journalists working under 40, the great Natalie Weiner will be with us. And she'll talk about the 1959 project she did last year and a number of other things. But I want to thank you all for listening. Before I turn it over to Lonnie, thank you to both of my guests. Again, yes, thank you. Thursday, July 9th, Rebecca, for the Live from Crown. You can catch me always at Kurt Jazz Radio. That's on Live 365. You can catch that at kurtjazz.com. Thank you to my guests. Lonnie, I'm going to stop talking and turn it over to you.
Thank you, Curtis. And thank you once again, Amos and Itai. I've really enjoyed you guys. Thank you again for joining us this evening.
Thank you.
I would like to thank all of you for being with us this evening as well. I want to say thank you to our supporters, our donors who continue to support Jazz Arts Charlotte. For those of you who are not aware, Jazz Arts is a nonprofit organization located here in Charlotte, North Carolina, and our mission is to connect the community and develop a jazz audience through quality education, performance, and musician support. And if you'd like to learn more about the Jazz Arts, please visit our website at thejazzarts.org. We are truly grateful, and we definitely look forward to seeing you again next time. Thank you, guys. Be safe and enjoy the rest of your week. Take care. Bye.
So long, everybody. Good night.
Bye-bye.